Hello, welcome everyone. Whether you're here live or watching the recording, I so appreciate you being here with me and my guest, Judy Hoberman. Welcome, Judy.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm excited to be here.
So good to see you. When we were doing this, I was thinking it's been a month, but it was really just a couple of weeks ago when you and I had the live, and I wanted to do the second one. So thank you for coming back on. I feel like we should have a moment of silence for the Queen of England.
I know. It's so sad.
It's like everybody's grandma is gone, you know? I think I'm going to do an article on her, which you can learn from her, because she handled her 70 years with such grace. I mean, and such leadership, servant leader beyond words.
She dedicated her entire life to this.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Well, this is interesting. I hope people, I'm going to look on my phone and see it's okay. It says we're live. Okay. It said we were having a problem with being live on StreamYard, but it says we're live now. So again, Judy, just thank you so much for being here. And I want to take some time to talk about what you and I talked about last time, and that was the giving back, because I think we both agree it's so important. And everyone we had on the call last time was in total agreement. So everyone that's on the live today, if you would go into the comments and tell us where you're coming in from. And Judy and I were talking about this and thought it was a joke, kind of, is it fall where you live yet? Because it's not fall yet in Texas, but we keep hope alive, right, Judy?
All I know is it's after Labor Day. I can wear my boots and nobody can say anything.
That's right. How many pair of boots do you have?
No, I don't have a lot. I probably have 6 or 7 pairs. I don't have a lot. I like my boots, so I wear them.
Yeah.
You know, if I have 20 pairs of boots, I have to, you know.
That's true. You couldn't wear them all. I just have 2 pair, but I love boots. I'm like you. I can wear them all the time. But I encourage everyone, whether you're watching the live or the recording, please give comments, ask questions, whatever, because you and I both will go back in and answer all of those. But let us know. Yeah, exactly. Let us know where you are, where you're tuning in from, so we know that you're here and we can be part of the conversation, because I desperately want us to have conversation like we did last time with all the people on the call. I think that's so important, and we get to see so many people and so many different ideas. That's the whole point, is all the different ideas that we're going to have. So get to it on my phone as well. So let's see here. There we go. Okay.
I see the comments coming in, but I don't have a chat box on mine, so I can't comment anything.
Oh, okay. Well, but you and I both went back last time and did that. So, yeah, let's see here. Let me see what we're getting here. So I'm looking at the comments we have down here. So
I see Chattanooga and Dallas and Frisco.
Yes. As in Frisco, Texas, or San Francisco? Hi, Mindy.
She's Texas.
Miss Donna, Miss Debbie.
Donna, you can wear your white skirt and your white pants. Nobody
we don't care. Yeah.
You can do that.
I think young people are changing that for us, right? They don't care what color you wear, what time of the year it is. They don't even know what we're talking about when we talk about those kind of things. Like when I say that insurance commercial, I can't think of the name of it, but where the guy says what old people do.
Yes, it's hysterical.
Half the stuff he says is me, so I have to be careful. So I think young people are helping us on that. But we're so excited because today we want to talk about giving back. And last time when Judy was on, she shared with some stuff she was doing with her book, and I thought, well, let's take that to another level, because I think we all agree that giving back can make such a huge impact in so many different areas and arenas. And I think there's so many different ideas we can do it. So those of you on the call, please share your ideas as we go through, so we can share those with everyone and talk about them. So, you know, Judy, most everyone recognizes the importance of giving back. I think even more so now in the last couple of years, but being a part of that community. But like we were talking about last couple of weeks ago, there's so many different ways to do it. So I want us to talk about that. So people do business with those they know, like, and trust. We know that. That's a given, right? But I think when we show them what our values are and our alignment is, and which nonprofits we support, et cetera, they're more inclined to come with you, if you will, because you have similar. It's kind of like if you're at an event and you find someone who has same interests as you, you want to talk because of that. Same with the nonprofits that you support. So when you and I visited last month, you shared what you were doing with the food banks and food scarcity in your book. So talk a little bit about that with us, so we can kind of get started on that and then just keep going with your conversation with everyone else that's on there. Hello, Miss Margot. Margot was with us from Vashon Island in Washington, the state of Washington. I know it's cool where Margot's.
And she's on the ferry too.
Exactly. Okay, so start, Judy, talking about what you did last time, because I think that's really important.
So my book, Walking on the Glass Floor, has a foundation attached to it. And the foundation is simply because there's a lot of women that either can't afford to have a coach or can't come to a training class or whatever they want to do, and they just can't get there. And so we put aside proceeds from the book only. We just decided to take that book and put that towards a nonprofit. And we're able to, give people scholarships. Well, when school was getting ready to start, especially in Texas, because they start so early,
Yes.
I thought, well, what can we do to do a give back for the kids going back to school? And when you read about all of these kids that don't have food to eat in the United States, which is craziness, I thought, well, what if we just took the proceeds of the book and send it to different food banks? So it is going to different food banks, and let them feed the kids, because it doesn't take a lot. That, each child doesn't get a lot of money towards them, but they get a lot of food.
Right.
So why can't we feed the kids? And so that's really what it was. It's like, for me, it's like the ultimate give back. It's not about, giving money to somebody and saying, go buy something. We're giving it to the organizations who specialize in doing this. You have to have experts in doing all of these things. And so they're the ones that will take the donation and feed the kids. It's not like take the donation and let me put it towards something else. This is actually going to feed kids.
Right.
And that's really what it is.
And when I was a principal, I most of my schools were low income, which meant that, 70 to 90% qualify for free and reduced lunch, which meant food banks supported different things like for weekend backpacks, et cetera. It is amazing what a food bank can do with $5. Right. You and I probably couldn't do it because there's so much more gifted at buying. Like peanut butter is a huge thing because it's so high in protein, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's a great way to go and to do that with the food banks. Because like you said, they'll use the money, they'll buy the food. And what a great way to, help support through your book sales. Hello, Miss Ann. Ann's here. I love Miss Ann.
Well, the other thing, Debbie, is that, a lot of the kids don't have food when they get home on the weekends. Absolutely. So a lot of the schools also send the kids home with food on the weekends. So Absolutely. Why can't we just make sure that, if we want kids to learn, they can't learn if they're hungry. You just can't. Absolutely. So why don't we, they're feeding their brains in school, so let's feed their tummies.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we work with the food banks on in the schools I was in, is they did the backpacks. So they would fill backpacks with food, take those backpacks home and then bring them back on Monday. And it was just a rotation, but the food banks did that. The food banks did that. So, we couldn't necessarily, just because we didn't have the resources, as crazy as that. We provided the breakfast, we provided the lunch. But to your point, weekends were a whole different thing. Judy, I remember when I was a principal, I would have parents come up in the morning with babies in the stroller, and the child at the table who had the breakfast would split his breakfast or her breakfast with the baby. I mean, I can still see that. And I mean, don't even get me started. It's a travesty that so many children go hungry. Food scarcity is a major issue in this country. And in places people would never guess it. This was Plano, Texas. So if that's happening in Plano, Texas, you can imagine what's happening in some of your suburbs and some of your larger cities. So I think that's great. I have the link on the screen there for anyone who would like to buy a book and be able to help support that. Judy, talk about what happens when they go to that link and they're able to buy the book.
Really, all they do is they're going to, and I can't put anything in the chat for some reason. I do not know why. I was going to put that in there for you. So what happens is you pay for the book and the shipping, and that comes directly to me. And then I sign the book. I actually sign it to you, unless you say don't put a name on it, but I sign it to you. And then I personally go to the post office with all the books, because they know I'm coming, and they asked me what it was for. And then they were like, okay, good. What do you need? And then we send them out. And so everybody gets the book. Now, what you do with it, you can keep the book yourself, you can give it to a friend or whatever. But I always say, if there's something you like about it, let me know. Let me know what you like. And maybe there'll be a blog post, or maybe there'll be something new that comes out of it, or maybe there'll be a contest. And I did say we can do a book group. And you and I were going to do a book group with everybody that bought a book. And I'm happy to do that.
I think that'd be so much fun, because again, it's the book, what's in the book, which and many people on this call, this live today, have written books. It's about what's in the book, but it's also about the coming together and the conversations of things that you have around that whole synergy. I mean, that's for sure.
And it's funny, because I've always belonged to book groups, and the best time that you have is when you discuss the book. Now, when the books are bad, the discussions are even better because everybody just rips them apart. And then you say, well, this part was worse or whatever. But seriously, I mean, we would read books and then just sit and get together, one night a month and just talk about the book. So I'm happy to do that.
So we need to let people and when I've asked everyone to please comment, let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing this. And Anne was sharing that the links don't work until the live is over. But also we'll do that in the comments as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't put a comment in here. There's no spot for me.
Well, and like I said, I do my phone. I do my phone as well, just because I like to have both things going. But, book launches today are so interesting because there's so many different things you can do. Judy and I were talking about with the passing of Queen Elizabeth and the Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, what she did with her book launch. I think it was a couple of years ago. She took her books around London and placed them and called them book fairies, with a note asking everyone if they would please pass the book on. And so there's fun ways. I think Richard Branson did something like that one time too, around London. Interestingly enough, 30 years ago, it was something he was doing. He went and put things on telephone poles. But with book launches, you can be so creative. I mean, the standards are social media, they're the interviews, they're reviews on Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a lot of cool things that you can do. One of the things I like to do, everyone who knows me knows I love alignment with holidays and special occasions and things. And Sunday is Grandparents' Day. Sunday's Grandparents' Day. And many of you were on this live a few months ago. Of course, time flies. I can't remember when it was, with Deanna Shoss and Jerry. And Jerry is 90. They wrote a book, and it's Where Two Worlds Meet, a guide to connect with your teenage grandchildren. And so they wanted to do something special in alignment with getting notice of the book out there. So they reached out to Eli's Cheesecake in Chicago, who has a very, very vast social media presence, especially on Facebook, but they've got a big one, LinkedIn as well. And they promoted it, and anyone who signed up, registered, they would be in a drawing for cheesecake and the book. And so Eli's did that. And they did they had 20,000 followers on Facebook, which is where they did the most. I think they have almost 2,000 on LinkedIn, but they did that sign up and did that registration. They had 8,000 entries. So think about the possibilities of what you can do with that. I'm a huge fan and was on the board with Cleaning for a Reason, cleaning homes who have cancer. And there's so much to do with that we don't think about. We just don't think about. So let me see who is saying this. So Mindy's saying, I'd like to see in my community a rec center. Let's see if I can show that. A rec center where kids can come learn, grow their character, and have fun. A place to connect and fight drug abuse through education and character building. And that's an excellent thing. It says linked on user here, but it's Mindy Brown. Thank you for sharing that, Mindy, because I think a lot of places, we live in the country now, we moved out to Boyd, town of 1,000, but we live in the country. It's amazing how many small communities around our country don't have those resources, Mindy. So
yeah. And you know what, you can say, this is what I want to do, and there'll be companies that will support you, and there'll be people that want to support you. There's all different ways to get things done, and you just have to remember how powerful social media is. Because I remember my friend Debbie over here wanted White House Black Market to dress her, and I remember how she would hashtag them every single post, hashtag them and Kind Bars, every single one, and they dressed her, and so Kind Bars also gave you stuff.
You know who I am, that's for sure. What other group? Because I know there's some really. Debbie Mrazek says she's driving. But, we don't want you typing while you're driving there, Debbie. Don't do that, because that would be safe, to say the least. But what are some other things and some other ideas people have done here? I know Anne's done a lot. I know Donna. Donna's a big gift giver. I mean, that's kind of what she does.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, I'm going to have Donna on in the next few weeks, because I want to talk about the stuff she's doing. Because again, giving back, there's so many ways we can do that. So share some things that you've done that you'd like to see as far as.
Well, one of the things that we did that was fun was when we did one of the book launches, we did a virtual book launch, and we had people taking pictures of where they saw either somebody reading a book or where they were reading the book themselves. And that was fun. And we started posting all of that. You could do like little things, because all people want to do is be seen and heard and recognized. And, we had a blast doing that. And that's just something little, but you can do lots of things to give back. It just depends on what you want to do. You know, for me, giving back means, you know, not only the food, but also is being generous with your time. So I would volunteer in different places, and I would say, you know, just have this many kids here, or this many, you know, kids in college or whatever. And I volunteered at one of the universities here, and I was a mentor. I wasn't paid. I didn't have to do it, but I met the most amazing young people who are our future. Right. And 3 or 4 of them, actually, I think 4 of them were at my wedding, because they became like family, because it was giving back. It was just something that I was able to do.
Very good. Anne was saying she's having trouble sometimes with the video going out. I'm kind of hearing an echo, which is strange, but it's Mindy Brown, and you were asking on that. So I know that when we first started this, StreamYard said that we were having trouble connecting with LinkedIn, so who knows why, but I'm hoping that the feed is coming through in the right way. You know, when we visited last time, Judy, you were talking about, and so much of what you do talk about is with women in leadership, et cetera, the boardroom and women having a seat at the table. How do you think doing something a tad unique, if you will, like what we're talking about, helps demonstrate your leadership style? What kinds of things come to mind when I ask you about that?
Well, you know, again, it's really about doing something that is bigger than yourself, and you have to take yourself out of the picture. So let's park the egos at the door, and that's the truth. When you're looking to either get a seat at the table or to be recognized for having a seat at the table, you have to do something special. You have to do something different. And volunteering and mentoring is one of the biggest things you can do, because that's what people look for. But when you talk about like the Gen Z group, they are looking for social causes. They want to be involved in companies that are involved in a social cause. Like everybody knows Bamba socks. Okay, what do? They supply socks to shelters. It's the #1 item that people ask for. And they do that. And who needs more sock companies, really? Who needs more sock companies? We don't. And yet they sold gazillions of pairs. Well, the second most asked item are underwear. So now they just came out with underwear. Well, don't you think that if you were looking for a position and that was your value of giving back, you would look for a company that does something like that? Right. So, you know, it all depends on what it is you're looking for. But as you know, as far as, you know, women getting a seat at the table, you have to stand out in some way. It could be as simple as posting on a consistent basis on LinkedIn and watching all your colleagues in your network doing the same thing, and then liking and commenting and sharing. Because all of a sudden people say, wow, you know, this Debbie Saviano check, like, where'd she come from? She's like everywhere. Why? Because she's consistent.
It's interesting you say that, Judy, because you know, I'm a huge LinkedIn advocate, and I speak the same language on this. But, and again, that's a perfect example. People always talk about, you know, competition and being competitive, etc. There is so much room at the table. There's so many seats in this virtual world we live in. And so I think when we can help each other, and we all learn from each other. I learn something every day, all day long, if you will. But on LinkedIn profiles, I often think for people who are associated with certain nonprofits and organizations and things, if they would take some time in that real estate, if they will, for LinkedIn and put that there, whether it be in the banner, whether it be in the headline, whether it be in the featured section, whether it be in the post, something to where they show other people for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps support, obviously, the organization, but it also brings those people together with similar values. But what if someone doesn't know about cleaning for a reason? What if someone doesn't know about the food banks? I know a lot of people have done work with the North Texas Food Bank. And so, but what if they don't know? So you putting it out there helps. That may be the very way or the only way that they find out about it. So for those of you who don't have it on your LinkedIn, please take some time to look through there and say, where can I find a place to put who my alignment is with my nonprofits? Right.
And what we did was, you know, we had a picture of like 4 or 5 little kids. And we just, you know, each day we put something else around the banner around them. You know, it was like feed us or help us find food or whatever it was. And then it was, we're going to double the proceeds, whatever it is, we're going to double it. Okay, there's 3 more days. So every day it was something else. And not one person said, God, this is obnoxious already. No one did, because it was a great cause. Right. But the other thing you could do, which we just started, I'm going to say it's probably a month now. LinkedIn came out with newsletters. And let me say, I know what people say about newsletters, but LinkedIn is a little bit different. So we decided to launch a newsletter. And it's nothing major. There's, we do an article, we do a couple of tips, we talk about when we're on Clubhouse, things like that. But in the article, we say, now we come out on Wednesday. In the article, we say, okay, now on Friday, look for the rest of this article, because we're just giving them like a little, wetting their appetite, whatever. So we put it out there, and the first day we probably got, I don't know, 150, 200 subscribers, not followers, actual subscribers. And now we have close to 2,000 subscribers. And I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but we haven't advertised it at all.
See, that's the beauty. And again, again, LinkedIn, I just, cheerleader for them. They do so much work for us on those of us who have newsletter. My Books and Bites is a newsletter, and where I do nonfiction books. And I think it's so important, to your point, Judy, to utilize that, because every platform wants us to create content. That's what they want. Every social platform wants it. LinkedIn, because it's the only business professional platform, they do so much work for us. They send an email to all the subscribers. Now think about, those subscribers might not be on your email list. Chances are at least half of them aren't. So you have the opportunity to get those people all get an email. I got another email for this one coming for today for the event coming out. LinkedIn does the work for us. And so to have that and to share it and to share what ideas you're doing on giving back. I mean, I think that's a great idea. Take that newsletter, one of those, and do what you're giving back with, because a lot of people don't think about that.
Right. And the other thing you can do is you can pin it. So it's featured. It's the top one on your activity about what you're promoting and whatever else it is. Right. You don't have to do anything. You just click on it, and now it's the featured one. So I do that with every single episode. What do you call it? Newsletter that comes out. Every single one that comes out, I pin it. So now you can see like all of them. But I'm telling you, just be consistent. Really, just be consistent. And you know that Debbie's like the biggest cheerleader that there is. So when you see something of hers, like it. If you don't have time to make a comment about it, at least like it. You can come back and see what you forgot to, add something to it later on, but at least like it, because they tell you a notification anybody else that's already liked it.
Exactly. I think that's the beauty of the women. I think we have all ladies today. Last time we had a couple of great guys as well, but I think today it's just women. But I think it's so important for us to support each other. And I always say this: if someone has something that you're promoting or doing, shoot me a text or a private message and say, hey, would you go comment? Because life's busy, like Judy says. Sometimes we might not see everything.
That's right.
But for those of us who support each other, our dear friend Debbie Morizy, talk about a cheerleader and a twirler. That girl is such a cheerleader and shares everything. So if you've got something coming, don't assume we might see it, because we might not, just like you might not see something of mine or Judy's. So never hesitate to shoot that text or shoot that private message and ask about that. Mm-hmm. I do think that it makes you feel good. And Judy, you talk about burnout. Okay, this is one of those things that's just like going to drive me crazy. I have a fly.
I can see it now.
And this fly will not leave me alone. And it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I've done everything, y'all, trying to kill this fly all day. I think it's one of those little nano robot things that fly around with a video. I'm joking. kind of, maybe not. But anyway, forgive my fly in the thing. It's not a barking dog. It's a fly today. But I think giving back helps. It helps with the burnout, because you, like you said about mentoring, you feel good when you can do that. I mean, it makes you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and a lot of us have so many things on our plate, and you're trying to balance everything. But at least if you have at least one thing that you love to do, and you're watching it grow, and you're watching people, benefit from it, it's amazing. I actually, the first week after we have the first week of August, I started to cry when I saw how many books people bought. And it was really because of the give back. It may not have been just because of the book. And I didn't ask anybody to buy my book just to buy it. Right. I never do that. I just don't do that. I know I could, but I don't. But this was like, I started to cry. And that's when I went to the post office, and he said, well, what is all this stuff? I'm like, these are books. He said, what is it for? And I told him, he said, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Okay, you just come to me tomorrow when you come back, just come to me. And so every time I just go back to him, and
he feels good because he knows you're doing something good. And who doesn't want to help children not be hungry? No one. Yeah. I mean, everyone wants to be a part of that. I know we have some creative souls on this live, because
I would love to see what everybody thinks of. What do you do when you want to give back?
Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're going to take a 5-minute pause here.
Yeah, because everybody here, and again, you said Donna is a real, a major giver. She's a major giver. And it doesn't have to be like these gigantic gifts either, but she knows what it is to give. So Donna, let's share some stuff in there.
Exactly. The same thing. I could look at each name on this feed and think of things that people have done or that I've seen just because you're a good person. So I know you've done stuff that and if you haven't done it, is there something you've thought about doing? I mean, that's a cool idea too, because, you know, associating your brand with a particular cause or movement or nonprofit. And I have to applaud young people when it comes to this, because they're much more in tune with this at a younger age than many of us were. And so kudos to younger people who have realized how important that is. And when I speak to colleges and when I speak to younger people, I say, put that on your profile, because companies hiring, they want someone with those skills and someone who's done all that. They're looking for that. So, you know, take advantage of that. Judy, so we're waiting, everybody thinking there. How will you, and again, let me preface and stop for a moment. Thank you for reaching out to the food banks and letting them know you're going to go a little bit longer, because you had agreed to do this with me, because I know you wanted to end the end of August, but I wanted to give us a couple weeks to do this. So thank you for reaching out and asking them. When you are finished with this, after all this is over, what will you do to help promote that, the whole process of it? Do you have any specific ideas you've done thus far?
No, the last time I did it, I just put out a major thank you and, told them what we had done and how much we raised and things like that. So, I don't think that anybody really expects anything to come of this. They just know that they were a part of it.
Right.
And so, the last time I did it, I actually put everybody's name on the card that I sent in, to the food banks. And so I'm going to do that again.
That's cool. That's cool. And I think that's the thing. It's kind of like when you give anonymously. I have a dear, dear close friend who donates a lot, who gives a lot. Many people probably know who I'm talking about. And they used to give anonymously.
Yeah.
She said they changed that when their grandchildren got older enough to know, because they wanted to instill that same belief system and that same action in them. But a lot of people do. They give just anonymously just because they want to feel good that they gave something, because that's
right. And they don't care. They don't care if people know that they did or not. And the other thing, one of the other things that I always did before the pandemic, wherever I was out anywhere, I would find somebody that I didn't know and I would compliment them. That's all I would just say, oh, Debbie, I love your glasses, or whatever it was. And I'd either get me, or they would say nothing, or very quietly they would say thank you.
Yeah.
And what I realize is that a lot of people don't ever hear nice things, a compliment. And so how much easier is it than that? And so we were out to lunch with the Colonel's grandchildren, my bonus grandchildren. And I said to him, I'm going to say something to this woman. And she was, I don't know, she was probably about 80 years old, but she was wearing this scarf that was beautiful. And he said to the kids, he said, watch what Miss Judy's going to do. And all I said to her was, you look so beautiful in that scarf. And she started to cry. She said, this is a gift from my daughter, who was, next to her, and she was in a wheelchair, and they didn't get it. They didn't understand it because they had never seen that before. And I said, they may not have she may not have heard, a nice compliment before. I don't know, but that's all it's about. And then they said, oh, we thought you had to give her something.
Yeah, you did. You're right. It's that modeling for sure. Though it's showing on the screen here, it says Christmas is around the corner, about adopting a child and give them Christmas presents.
Love that.
Yeah, that's Mindy Brown who's saying that. Apologies, Mindy. We're still trying to work out why your name's not up there, but thank you for that. Donna, our beautiful giver there. It's so important. It's worth covering our faces up. As far as giving back, it has become one of the major top trends in 2022. Retailers and major brands who give a % of their sales to all different charities. One of the reasons it has really been a huge trend is due to the fact that millennials are more than 50% of the workforce right now. And giving back is extremely important to them. You are so right, Donna, because they won't work for certain companies if those companies don't have some kind of alignment or a mission to help different organizations. It's a core value, just like sustainability and the environment. So hopefully it'll continue to be more and more important for all of us. The stream keeps repeating. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And I think to Judy's point with her grandchildren, modeling that also. And I think too, you know, LinkedIn's evolved. When LinkedIn started, you had to have met someone in person, shook their hand and traded business cards to be connected. That's how sterile it was, if you will. But like every social platform, it evolves based on the usage. So I think the more that we continue to use LinkedIn and other platforms too, but we're talking about LinkedIn today, to use LinkedIn to share those things, it gives credence to the fact that we all do support that and we all do want that. And I think that's huge that we wouldn't have done before. So yeah, let's do it. Let's support it. Let's say it. And again, not because we need the kudos, but because we want other people to see about that organization and the nonprofit, because they might not know about it. I mean, I share stuff all the time with Cleaning for a Reason, because I want everyone to know about Cleaning for a Reason, that they clean women who are undergoing cancer treatment, their homes free. So people need to know about it. So we all have, you know, that's a cool idea. Type in the chat box, if you will, that what organization, nonprofit it is that you support, because we might not know about it, right?
Yeah.
Donna's
the other thing that we talked about before was about creativity, right? And one of the things that a company does is, I can't remember which company it was, but they do something called a FedEx Day. And the FedEx Day is they bring their creative minds into this room and they sit there all day and they come up with some real, I think it was Google actually, and they think of some really cool things that they want to present. But the caveat is you can sit there all day or 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. But the next day at 10 o'clock, you must present it. So, you know, FedEx, they absolutely promise to deliver by 10. So that's what they call their FedEx Day. And they said they got the most creative ideas from this day where you could just, you know, really just be and shake your head out and get all the ideas out. And I mean, could you imagine just being able just to sit there and think of all these creative ideas? What we have done is we've taken creativity out of the workplace.
Absolutely.
We're telling people you don't need to be creative, just do your job. So,
and we're much better at our jobs when we are creative. Donna was sharing that Giving Tuesday is coming this month in Dallas, which is such a huge movement. Heard about the flyer over and over now 4 times. Okay, I think
she said the streaming was going.
That's not us. That's a StreamYard thing, unfortunately. Darn it. I love StreamYard. I hope there's not an issue with that. I will say this: when I email them and ask questions or whatever, they're very quick to come back with what it was. So, and we did get a notice at the beginning, but that we haven't gotten anything since then. So apologies if that's the case. Donna says that I'm all about giving. Okay, let me put this up here. I'm all about giving. It doesn't always have to be a tangible gift, to Judy's point about just a compliment. I recommend we need to show our clients and advocates how much we appreciate them. So maybe you know your client has a favorite charity, volunteer as a way of giving back to your clients. And that's a really good point, Donna, because that's an excellent point. I mean, thank you for that. You think about, you have your nonprofits, but who does your client have?
That's
who do they support? That's a really great idea. I love that. Yeah, I love it.
The other thing is when you're doing research, when you want to reach out to new people and you see that they support XYZ, charity or whatever, bring that up when when you're talking to them or when you're introducing yourself to them, because then they know that you actually did your homework.
Right.
And that's very important to them or they wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
And so, I think that's a great idea.
It's so interesting because Stacy, dear friend and former partner, Stacy Shefflin, she's always talking about that and how much she appreciates LinkedIn, because when we were going to meet with clients or anyone we were working with, and that's another reason why your LinkedIn profile should be so robust. It's all there. There's no excuse for not knowing everything about someone on a professional side and a tad bit on personal, but definitely on the professional side. I mean, and LinkedIn lets you put in your causes and your organizations. If you don't have that included in your LinkedIn profile, I highly encourage you to get that because it's so easy to put it in there. So Paula just put her link in there for get involved for live. Thank you for doing that, Paula. Because if you guys have charities and things you support, put the link in the feed so we know who those are and people can look them up. I mean, I think that's really important for sure. Yeah, we want to be able to do that because that's why we're here. If you want to say that, to be able to show people what it is that we're supporting. Like I said, there's nothing that gets us more excited. Like I've gone to the North Texas Food Bank and volunteered before and filled the boxes and all the food and all the different things that they do. what kinds of projects or what kinds of activities does your nonprofit that you support do that other people could get involved? I know Plano right now, John Munn's the mayor of Plano. They just did a huge peanut butter drive because North Texas Food Bank does that with communities. They do peanut butter because peanut butter is just like the best staple, if you will, because you always have peanut butter sandwiches, and at least they're healthy. They're high in protein. So if there's something that y'all are doing, because together we can do so much more than what we can do individually. Let's face it, we can.
Absolutely. Do you know that in Texas, 1 out of 5 children face hunger? 1 out of 5. That's craziness.
Yeah.
So,
well, many of y'all know the young woman Chocolate, who Alicia, who is in, I think it's South. I always get that confused. I'm pretty sure it's South Dallas. Stacy and I actually have visited her community more than once, and they call it a desert. And the reason they call it a desert is because there are no grocery stores. There is nowhere to get fresh food. Thank God for Mountain Farms, which is in that community that Sarah Waskoff shared a bunch of stuff with this week, because Mountain Farms is a oasis, if you will, of food and things. But they have to take the bus an hour out of their community to go to the store, an hour back. By the time they get home, anything they had frozen is melted in Texas in the summertime. You can imagine. People just have no clue. And so the food scarcity is one of the biggest issues that people are totally unaware of. So I applaud you, Judy, for choosing that to be who you want to align yourself with, because no one should go to bed hungry, and no one should wake up hungry. And it's heartbreaking that people do. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's terrible. So again, but I applaud you for what you're doing. I encourage everyone to buy a book. We've got the link on the screen. And Judy, after it's all over and you've done your thing with the food banks, sit and ponder and think about the book club and whatever it is. And I'd be happy to be part of that and to be able to do that. Because like I said, we've got great women here. We've got great friends and cheerleaders who want to do good things for people. You never know where it's going to come from. We can all bring our beverage of choice, whether it be coffee, iced tea, water, whatever. It doesn't matter. Cocktail, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And, happy to do it. And so, you just have to let us know that you really want to do this, and we will do it.
That's right. That's the beauty today. You've got the lot like this. You've also got Zoom and all the different things you can do with Zoom now to bring people on. And I know many of us on here have done Zooms in some all kinds of different situations and had a blast doing it. And so how much fun would that be? So I think it would be cool to be able to have, like I said, I'm like Judy, I love book clubs. I mean, you get what the book has, but you also get all the conversations around what's in the book, different people's ideas, opinions, and thoughts, the creative side that you don't get when you're reading it by yourself. Speaking of book, I'm doing the most unusual book for Books and Bites next week. It is called Uncommunist Manifesto.
Whoa.
That's a teaser, isn't it? Yeah, it's really, really good. It's just a little bitty book you can read in an hour, but it's an outstanding book. But anyway, and I know Ann Small has something cool she's doing tonight. And again, I think it's important that we all share what each other's doing. I know Ann's doing something tonight on Facebook with her group. And Ann, if you want to put it in the comments, so if you're still on, because I know hers starts at 7, put it on there. And I'm going to be there, but maybe some other people can jump on as well. So put that in the feed if you can. But Judy, I so appreciate, number one, your friendship, number one, your leadership, and your willingness to do what we did today and to talk about it and to give ideas. I so appreciate the people on the live here today who are live, and those who come in and listen to the recording. And I hope it was clearer than I think it might have been with the ideas you shared, because and Donna's point about Giving Tuesday is a great thing. If you haven't gotten involved with something, that's a great thing to get involved with. A great way to start.
Yeah, and just think about the things that are important to you, because there's always something available with what you're excited about. It's like, people say, well, I want to get involved with associations. What kind of association? I'm like, well, what do you like? Because there's an association for everything. So, and then the other thing is, go on to Clubhouse. We do a room every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and it's called the Exec Women in Leadership. And every week it's a different topic. And if you don't know anything about Clubhouse, it's like a radio show basically. And the only people that can actually speak are what they call the mods. And so it would be if it's your room and anybody that's helping you. However, then you ask people, do you want to say something? And you just raise your hand and then you bring them up. It's very cool. And Mindy just started a show this week about women in trucking. And, so they talked about mentorship. I mean, really, like you think about it, mentorship goes across every industry, goes across every, age bracket. So, just do what you can do and get involved in different pieces of things that you love. You'd be surprised what opportunities will open up. And then you say, you know what, I really want to get heavily involved in this. So
absolutely. And that's a good point. Mindy, put your Clubhouse thing in the feed. Judy, if you can't do it now, do it after we're done. But put your Clubhouse things in there. So Judy does that on Friday morning. I just Twitter, every social platform. If they find something that works, they copy it to their platform. They all do.
Yep.
So whoever gets there first, right? So now Twitter has come up with their audio, with their chats. So I'm going to post that for Tuesday tip, and I'm going to do one next Friday. Never done one, but I'm just going to play with it and see what it's like. I think it's important to always try things. I may do it once and think, oh, this is dumb. I don't want to do it again. I may not. I might love it, but I'm going to post that on LinkedIn. So I'll tag some of us that are here, but I'm going to do it next Friday. What time is your, Judy? At 1 on, what time is your Clubhouse?
8 a.m.
8. Okay. I think this is like 1 or something on Friday. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. And then I also want to say, I see Lorenda's here. So Lorenda, I know you wanted to be in our Clubhouse room when we talked about I get by with a little help from my friends, and you said you should do a blog post about that. And I did, and I put it out there yesterday, and I haven't tagged you yet because I wanted to get there, but you will get tagged so you know it's there, because I thought, wow, that was such a great idea for her to ask. I couldn't be there, and the replays are available anyway, just so you know, they're on my website, all the replays up to a certain point, and then we have to keep refreshing it. But and I thought that was such a fun day about I get by with a little help from my friends. And so we turned it into, an article, a blog post. And so it's out there, Lorinda, especially for you.
And that's the thing that's cool about Clubhouse or the Twitter space, whatever. You have it on, but you can be doing the dishes, you can be cleaning the house, whatever you need to do.
You don't have to be dressed.
Yeah, you don't have to be dressed. You're just listening. And so that's one of the cool parts of it. LinkedIn's got the audio now. I haven't done it either, but I'm going to play with it too, just for the same reason. So if anyone on here, thank you, Mindy, for putting that out there, your Clubhouse feed. If any of you are doing any of those kinds of things, let us know, because we may not know about it. So I'm always a huge fan of tagging, because there's so much information that we don't always see everything. So that's why I tag people. Well, number one, they either share something that was cool, or I want someone to know about it so that they can get involved if they want to. So Judy, be sure afterwards to put your Clubhouse on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything anyone else want to add? Thank you for all the great comments and the different things that people have shared. Appreciate it immensely. And apologies if we had some little tech glitches. I'm very social, but I'm not very techy. But this wasn't my fault if there was tech issues. It was not Judy either one. This was not us. If this happened, It would be some other tech person in some back room somewhere. It would not have been us. So anyway, and again, I started out the conversations, Judy and I, when we first came on, saying how I feel like we should have a silence, moment of silence for Queen Elizabeth. She ruled for 70 years. Yeah. And she had all the same issues we all have with families and personal and professional, et cetera. But what a woman of grace. And you talk about servant leader. My God, she gave her whole life to her country and her people. And I'm just, I love the beautiful pictures of her with all her pretty bright colors, her hats, and just, she was 96, but still, it's sad. I mean, it's just so sad to think that she's gone now. I was trying to. So Judy's is 8 o'clock Central on Clubhouse. Okay, 8 o'clock Central. Executive Women Leadership. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna do it this Friday. 8 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock a.m., isn't it?
8 o'clock
a.m. Thank God you don't have to rest.
Yeah. But I usually have like Zoom right after that, so I have to be ready just to be ready.
Yeah. Well, I won't be. So thank God you
that's okay. That's okay.
Conversation. But thank you everyone so much for joining us, and thank you, Judy, for being here, and thank you again for those of you who buy the book, and to know that you're going to help provide food, and that's for children with food scarcity. That small amount can make such a huge difference for those children, and the food bank's an incredible job of it. So thank you everyone so much for being here. And let's see here. Donna said, I want to see what. See, it's not coming up yet. Well, here it is. Let me see this. One of the sessions that Leadership Plano's program offers is a nonprofit fair. It's such a wonderful opportunity to get to know so many different charities. that she'd never heard of before. It was a great way to meet them. I've spoken for leadership planning before, so, and I think almost every city now has the leadership courses. They're incredible. But that's a great idea to have the fairs, because then you get to know who. That's it. There's so many, and a lot of times we think, oh, we should know that because we live in that community, but they don't know them.
No.
And there's Mindy's Women in Trucking Association. Monday at 7. Is that 7 a.m. or 7 p.m.?
PM.
7 p.m. Okay, so Mindy's Women in Trucking. My son-in-law Bill is in the trucking industry. Mindy, he started out in trucking with ABF, I believe, and now he's independent. He does his own thing, but he's logistics now more so than trucking. But I admire women in trucking. I think it'd be so cool to be driving one of those trucks. I think that'd be just such a cool thing. I'm going to join yours one of these times too. That's too cool. 7 a.m. Okay, perfect. So anyway, thank you so much, y'all. Everybody have a blessed day, and we will talk soon. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.